So today we're going to talk about the essence of Burgundy and Provence. And I am hoping that many of you have a wine glass somewhere handy because we're talking about a wine region that is so exciting. And of course, as I butcher all the names in France, you have to forgive me in advance. But you'll see lots of images and you'll know exactly where we're going. And all righty. So, of course, we are excited to announce the Savor of Essence and Burgundy and Provence with the Sonoma Valley Vintners and Growers. And with us today, we have Megan Cline. You want to say hi again, Megan?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I know we're going to talk a lot about logistics and information, but I just want to say I'm like really, really excited to be here, shared this with all of you. A little bit later on, I will get to tell you a little bit more about Cline Cellars, our story, why this is so meaningful for us. But it feels really, really special to be a part of this group, and I really can't wait to go on this adventure together.
Awesome. That's wonderful. And Bart, I know you're there too. You want to say hello, Bart?
Auto unmute myself. Hi everybody, Bart. I have a small winery here in Sonoma called Dane Cellars. I've been fortunate to work in the valley since 1986, so I'm especially excited to do this with my fellow Sonoma Valley Vintners and tell all of you and why Sonoma Valley is so special. Looking like a lot of you already live here, so you know part of that, but hopefully we'll get a bunch of people we can convert also.
Excellent. And Melanie, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everybody. I apologize. I'm in my car. Really excited for this opportunity. We've been going through a lot of transformations at Gloria for over the last 5 years. So a lot of you live locally, may have seen that, experienced that. And, we're just looking to take our message out into the greater world. And of course, these regions are very special to us, and we're really excited to share our wines with you.
Awesome. And Robyn, I know that you're there as well. You want to say hello?
Yes, I am so excited to be on this call, and most importantly for this incredible trip. Here in Sonoma Valley, we're celebrating our 200th harvest, and so it felt so natural to work with Expedia Cruises, one of our top partners for our organization, to take this immersive trip to France with all of you. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and we hope that you'll come to France with us.
Absolutely. And I do want to echo that. We are excited that you've taken the time to be with us today. And we're going to take you on a little journey. So allow me to escort you through the itinerary of Essence of Burgundy and Provence. We're going to start this adventure in Arles in France, and we're going to end in Dijon. So as you can see from the map there, we're going to be going northbound on the Rhone and Saône rivers in France. And so much to see along the way. This region, in addition to being wine rich, is also rich in tremendous history. So you're going to start off in Arles. And when I think of Arles, I think of the Roman amphitheater and the Romanesque cathedral. One of the things you can do is like a guided tour through the town, but you can also be more active and you could delve into things like a bike ride through town, a guided bike ride nonetheless. And if you would like, maybe you can even delve into Gogh or Van Gogh, depending on how you say. Inspiration, because there's a walking tour that goes into the Vincent van Gogh Foundation, showing his legacy, lots of wonderful artwork. Not everyone recognizes that this is one of the important areas for him. As a matter of fact, in the end of his life, he produced almost 70 pieces right in this area. So very exciting. We move on to the medieval city of Yvers. This is where, again, you're going to see, as you walk through the medieval city, there's going to be walking tours. There's also another option for a bicycle tour. I have to admit that one of my favorite things here is to go to the hilltop village of Grignon. And the reason, because I love going with these puppies out to do the truffle hunting. It's one of my favorite excursions because not only do you get to walk out into the fields, experience the truffle hunting with the dogs, but you also get to taste my favorite part of the excursion. You get to taste these wonderful, of course, they call them the black diamond of the culinary world, right? The black truffles. And you can see them, they're just freshly shaved. Oh, yum. I can't tell you that every time I go, this is probably one of my highlights. I will also mention that I leave room in my suitcase to bring things home because there's some really yummy things that you can bring home from here. We go on to Vin. Vin, of course, boasts a really unique Roman past. You're going to see really well-preserved ruins. And for those of you who want to be more active, you can either take a guided bike tour along. There's a portion here along the river called the Via Rona. It's a bike route that you'll see right there close to the water. It's very flat. It's a lovely place to take a nice bike ride. You could also, if you want to be even more active, I loved the hike up to the monastery up there at Mount Pipet, at the top. It's, again, wonderful. Of course, I don't know about you, but when you love wine, you probably also love food. And one of the favorite things, of course, is the culinary capital of France, Lyon. Lyon is such a magnificent city. Boy, I can't even say it because it's so exciting. I love going to, of course, the Hall Market. And when you take the walking tour to the Hall Market with AmaWaterways, you're going to find that they do a tasting in 3 parts. So the first part is at a delicatessen where you'll enjoy sausages and meats, some ham and bread, and a glass of red wine, ever so important. The second tasting you're going to have is at the cheese stand. At the cheese stand, you'll sample real French cheeses, whether it be the Comté or the Charolais, the Picardon, wonderful cheeses. And there you'll have a glass of white wine. The third tasting is a pastry stand. And we're in France, so you know that they are magnificent, right? So delicious sugar-coated kind of tarts served with some tea or water. When you think about Lyon, think of the fact that there are 2,000 restaurants here, and 11 of them are Michelin starred. So I think Lyon, I think food, but of course there's wonderful history to be seen, and there are some other options too. Right close by, we of course go to Macron. The South Burgundy city she's also known. You know, it's really kind of nestled in there. There's going to be wonderful walking tours. You're going to also be introduced to local vineyards, lots of historical sites. There's so many neo-Romanesque style frescoes and chapels, lots of great histories, as well, of course, as wine. Once you get to Tournon, you're going to find that your guide can take you to the Benedictine Abbey. That's right there, the Saint Philibert, which is a wonderful abbey, by the way. Lots of really interesting features. One of the other things that you could do is you could actually go out to the moated Chateau de Cormatin. And this goes back to the 17th century and features some of the most incredible apartments, as well as look at those gardens. The gardens are just incredible. And when you think about the time of year that you're going to be there in June, everything is going to be vibrant, much more vibrant even than you see it. Because here you can see some of the trees in the background of this photo. It's a little early in the year. They haven't really sprung out, but it's going to be spectacular. One of the other alternatives you could do that day would be to venture off to the medieval village of Brancion. And there's a really interesting preserved gateway. Again, lots of things to see and do. When we get to Chalon-sur-Saône, this is really located in the southern Burgundy region of the Côte Chalonnaise wine region. And so you're going to hear the whispers of lots of secrets of the medieval past. There's really interesting, wonderful stories that go along with the wine tastings that you will have here. You also have the opportunity to visit the town of Beaune. Beaune, for many people, is, of course, another part of a wine region. The Hospice de Beaune, which is the hospital there, the old hospital, it also now owns the surrounding vineyards. So there's a wine made there that is actually auctioned off every year. And all the fundraising goes to support this wonderful operation here in Beaune. And then, of course, as we venture towards the end of our cruise, we're going to arrive this is a picture of Dijon, but the ship actually comes in into the port of Saint-Jean-de-Losne. It's about 45 minutes away from Dijon. So this is one of those places where you could choose to go towards Dijon or we head back towards Lyon. Lots of opportunities as we venture towards the end of the cruise. But we've talked about where we're going. I'd like to share with you a little bit about why we choose AmaWaterways for our wine cruises. And we have lots of choices, and so do you. One of the things that they're known for is more inclusive by choice. So when we think about all of the tours that I just talked about, it's important to note that they're all included. So every single day, you're going to have options to do walking tours, hiking tours, bike tours, and they're all included. And one of the really unique features about AmaWaterways is that for every tour, they're going to offer 3 different walking level options. And they're called the gentle walkers, the average walkers, and the active walkers. And why do they do that? Because really experiencing a destination also means that you don't want to be trying to hurry to catch up with the group, or maybe you want to take a little bit of time and you want to take photographs. So no one feels pushed, no one feels pulled. It's a great opportunity to really experience where you are, again, included. And when you think about it, that means also that they're breaking the group sizes down to very small groups. Sometimes the bike rides are 4 people, sometimes the bike rides are 8 people, and you have a private guide with you. The walking tours, they average 10 to 12, 15 people at the max. On some of the walking tours. So this means you really get to ask questions. They have the great audio box system so that you have it in your ear, but you're so close to your guide that you can actually really engage and ask those interesting questions, saying, oh, what's that? You didn't mention that. I would love to see that, or tell me more about this. It makes a huge difference about how you see things. And the fact that they're included, I want to make sure that you understand, doesn't mean you have to take everything. It also means that if you wanted to say, you know what, Lyon, I just want to go to the market hall and stay there for the day, that's certainly an option for you. So it's really important that you know how seamless this is too. So many of you have maybe taken ocean cruises before, and it's really it's kind of hard to understand until you've done it. But if you can imagine that it's so seamless, you can book these in advance, or you can book them the morning of. It doesn't matter. There's room for you. And so the only exception to that are the bicycle tours that can be limited only by the number of bicycles. But quite honestly, we have a bunch of people who sign up, and then once they get there, they say, oh, no. I'd rather not be riding the bike through town. I'd much rather be walking and experiencing it differently. So with it being so fluid, I, for example, took one of the big hikes up to Mont Pipet, and it was quite a trek, and we were having a great time. I overdid it maybe just a little bit. So the next morning I had signed up for another active tour and realized maybe I didn't quite feel up to it. So I went down to the front desk and said, can I maybe just join the average walkers today? They took my tickets, exchanged them, gave me new ones, and voila, I was on a different tour. So wonderful, seamless, but very much included. Also included, of course, are the beverages that we all enjoy, which would be the wine and beer with lunch and dinner. And those are the regional wines, regional beers with lunch and dinner. And then we have a sip and sail hour every day. And that means that you get to go and have cocktails or a glass of wine during the sip and sail hour right before dinner. And then, of course, we'll talk about our wonderful wines that we're bringing with us, but that's a whole nother conversation that I'll get to in a bit. Of course, with great wine, we need to have great food. And of course, AmaWaterways is known for their award-winning cuisine. You'll see here that this is the culinary director, Robert Kellerhaus. He was actually invited to join the prestigious Table et Auberge de France. It's a wonderful association, and you really have to be selected to be part of this. And it's all about regional cuisine and making sure that these inspired dishes are crafted using locally sourced ingredients throughout the cruise. In addition to that, you're going to find that AmaWaterways is a member of the Chaîne de Rôtisseurs, another organization that you have to be invited to join, and it's about culinary excellence. So when we talk about food, it's important to understand just where it's sourced from. And you're going to see here that AmaWaterways will focus on the locally sourced and really high integrity food quality. So there's no frozen, there's no microwaves, everything is freshly prepared. You're going to see the chefs wandering through the markets every day. They bring things in fresh from the regional area, and it's pretty darn good if you ask me. And when I talk about the award-winning dining, I want to make sure to share with you too that in addition to the main dining room, AmaWaterways features what's called the chef's table, which is an alternate dining room that everyone will have a chance to dine in. And that's where they have an open kitchen, and you have specialty dining, and there's only room for 24 guests at a time. So we'll all take turns rotating through and having a wonderful time. AmaWaterways is also very, very good when it comes to assisting us with special request menus. And by that, I mean, if you need gluten-free, if you are truly celiac, they will have a conversation with you to make sure that you are safe, but they provide gluten-free options as well as vegetarian, vegan, all seamlessly. One of the things that makes a real difference to me is I prefer to eat low carb. So I usually talk to them and say that I prefer not to have a lot of starch on my plate. And I love the fact that my waiter knows. They know my face. This is a small, intimate ship. And they will come and they will, if I've ordered something special or need a special diet, they will come and quietly just serve me my entree without a lot of fanfare. There's nobody standing at the table saying, oh, who's the one that's salt-free? And so that seamless, wonderful experience that you have in the dining room also caters to our special dietary needs. And of course, for those of us who like to stay fit while we travel, because I like to indulge in all of the options that they offer culinary-wise, they offer some really fun things. So for example, there's every morning either stretching or yoga on the top deck. Again, we're traveling in June, the weather's going to be lovely. And so the opportunity to go up there and breathe that fresh air to start our day is spectacular. They have a fitness guide. You'll see a whole group of all the guides at the top there. There's always one fitness guide on every cruise. Now, no guilt if you're thinking this is my vacation and I don't want to do that, and that's totally okay too. No one takes roll call. It's open for anyone who wants to join. You'll notice that the wellness host is also the one who will escort the active or the bike tours. So you have someone along who's both physically fit and able to help anyone along the way. It's a great feature of AmaWaterways. And of course, they say complimentary high-speed wireless internet. I like to say complimentary internet. How fast it is depends on where the ship is. So, but truthfully, I like to work or at least stay well connected while I'm traveling. And so you're going to find that it does sufficiently for that. I can send the photos back home, back and forth. And they also have a wonderful app that you can use. Very high tech. It's lovely. It can keep you connected with folks at home. It can also send postcards for you, electronic postcards, lots of fun things. And all of that's available in the Ama app. So we've talked a little bit about AmaWaterways in general. Let me introduce you to your home for the 7-day cruise, and that would be the lovely AmaCello. AmaCello, she features only 140 guests, so she's very small. In order to be able to fit into the docks, both the width and the length of the ship is very restricted on these rivers. As a matter of fact, one of the bridges prevents any of the larger ships from getting through. So it's very important that this is a wonderful, intimate, small ship. With that, you're going to find that she has these wonderful kind of gold tones to her, almost representing the fall in the region, but it's lovely on board. Very casual, very comfortable. By casual, what do I mean? I mean that you're going to find that ties are never required. Gentlemen, yeah, sometimes they'll wear a sports coat, usually the first night, and then they ditch them for the rest of the cruise. But sometimes, and ladies, as long as it's not shorts and open-toed sandals, you're good. So very comfortable and casual on board. You're going to notice that all of the staterooms, without exception, are French balcony rooms. And that means that those lovely floor-to-ceiling doors that you see there, they slide open. And so you're going to have that Juliet balcony that keeps you from taking a dip into the river. And so those can slide completely open. You can keep them open, you can open and close depending on the weather. I personally find that I even keep them open at night as we're sailing, and it's quite lovely along the river. And so this is a typical room, 170 square feet. As a matter of fact, this represents, I'd say, 90% of the ship. So really, when you're looking at staterooms on this ship, it's all about location. Same type of stateroom, basically, but different locations. There are a few exceptions. There are a few suites on board. There are only a few. They're 255 square feet. And you'll notice it provides an extra little sitting area, but you still have the same French balcony style doors. And then this is the only stateroom type, or suite type, I should say, that has a bathtub. All of the others have the lovely glass showers. They're quite lovely. This is what we lovingly call the swan view rooms, and these are on the lower deck with the fixed windows. They're great for those who are more value-minded, who also might want to consider if the unique singles are sold out. Everyone always asks me, why do you call it the swan view? This is why. Those are your windows right there by the swans. So the swans can peek in and you can peek out. And you'll notice that the French balcony is just above it. So it's a better description of exactly what the swan view means. This little room is precious. There's only 2 of them. These are solo French balcony rooms. There are only 2 of them on the ship. And I did do a quick call right before we got on our presentation to say they are both available and they have no single supplement. There are only 2 of them. So if you are a solo traveler on this particular cruise, I would say jump on the phone to us as quickly as possible, because they will probably be gone by this evening. You'll notice that it's a twin bed. It's a smaller stateroom, but it does still have the French balcony. And I had to include this picture just because I can envision us all right here with our glass of wine, whether it be playing chess or just chatting on the top deck as we sail through the rivers. Because of course we're in the wonderful peak season of June before it gets too hot, where it's still lovely, everything is green, great time to be in France. So we talked a lot about the ship, we've talked a lot about where we're going, but we haven't really talked about really what we're excited about, and that's the wines. So I'm going to open this up a little bit and have our guest hosts talk a little bit about their thoughts on the cruise, a little bit about their wineries, and share a little bit about themselves. So to get us started, Megan, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you, KK. And I just want to say, like, obviously we've seen the itinerary, we've been talking about this a lot, but being on this call and having you take us through everything has gotten me so much more excited. I'm ready to go. And like, what I've been thinking about as you were talking is that, like, not only do I think that this is going to be really meaningful and really educational, especially when we talk about the wines, but oh my God, so much fun too. The truffle farm visit, I'm signing up already. I'm so excited. So I just quickly wanted to give you guys a little bit of background on myself, on Cline, and talk about, why I'm so excited. And so quickly, Megan Cline, part of the 2nd generation at Cline Family Cellars. We're family owned, operated, located in Sonoma. My dad actually founded the winery in 1982. But he founded it in Contra Costa County, and we actually moved to Sonoma in 1989. When he moved here, he immediately started planting vineyards in Sonoma Valley, and now we've kind of farmed and been a part of this community for over 35 years. And such an incredible place, such an amazing community. So excited to be on this cruise with some fellow Sonoma wineries, and talking so much about our history in Sonoma. And so when my dad came to Sonoma, he first focused on planting Rhone varieties. So a ton of Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, Marsanne, Roussanne, but also wanted to plant varieties that do well in Sonoma in the cool climate. So Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. And of course, those are rooted in Burgundy. So making that connection is so cool. But for me, when we talk about the Rhone and visiting Provence, that is especially meaningful to me because my dad was part of the original Rhone Rangers. So it was a group of vintners that kind of banded together in the mid 80s, people like Randall Graham and Bob Lindquist, and they were all about promoting and selling and hyping up the Rhone varieties in California. And so he was part of this movement that was really pushing Rhone varieties. So being in the heart of Provence, in the Rhone Valley, is so, so cool, like so special. These are wines that I've grown up around. They're the wines that I love to drink, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and they've shaped me as a wine drinker and our winemaking style at Cline, especially as we go through this like generational transition. But why it's so cool for me is that I've never actually been to either of these places. So I think really being able to experience these historic regions that have so deeply influenced myself, Cline, and Sonoma Valley as a whole is like so, so special. And like really a dream. And I can't think of like better fellow Sonoma Valley vintners to go on this cruise with. And I think it's really going to be so magical, making the connection with all of you as well, and learning just a little bit more about Sonoma. So since it's my first time, I'm really excited. I'm going to be digging into our cellar, like pulling out some of our first Sonoma wines, bringing them on board so we can all taste. And yeah, I can't wait. I'm already kind of planning what those are going to be in my head. But yeah, I'm excited to learn, connect with all of you guys, and just honestly really grateful to be a part of all of this. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Megan. That's awesome. I feel the excitement. I'm excited with you. Bart, would you like to share a little bit?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So as I said earlier, Bart Hansen from Dane Cellars. Dane is our now 18-year-old son who's off to college here in about a week and a half. And he is the reason why we started the winery when he was born. I left my position working for the Benziger family and became a stay-at-home dad. And I just couldn't stand not making wine for another year. So somehow or another, I talked my wife into letting me start my own brand. And since he was the inspiration for it, we named it after him. We only do about 700 cases a year. And wines we make, we don't make Pinot or Chard, but we do make a lot of Rhone-based wines. I certainly love Pinot and Chard. It's just not been what I've been inspired to make. We also make Zinfandel. We make some Bordeaux varieties. So I will say that I have been to both Burgundy and the Rhone, Provence, and I can't wait for those of you who haven't been there to experience it, because it is magical. And let me tell you, a few hours in Lyon just eating is not going to be enough time. So I was so inspired in both of those places, traveling with other winemakers and going to wineries every day and seeing the land and then being able to taste the wines. And I think what the magical thing about this is we will be talking about our wines from Sonoma and how special that is. And then hopefully all of you will get a chance to try wines from those areas that we're going to visit and understand why we're inspired by them. And you might even see some things that we do in our winemaking that that pushes through to the inspiration. So anyway, I look forward to getting to know all of you, those of you that come on the trip, those of you who don't. It's too bad for you. Thanks a lot, and let us know if you have any questions at all, please.
I love that part.
Bill.
Thank you so much. Hey,
Yeah.
how about you want to share?
And sorry to jump in at this point, but as much as I appreciate the wines from Sonoma, the Valley, and other adjacent AVAs, and I've been conducting wine tours here for 18 years, very frankly, and not to be insulting to anybody, but I don't understand why we are bringing any wines from California on this trip. We were on a trip from Amsterdam to Budapest, 2 weeks trip. It was fantastic. But anyway, I don't understand. I want to taste French wine, not wine from Sonoma. I'm here all the time doing that. So what's the rationale for doing it?
Well, I think it's a great question, Bill, and it's one that we hear a lot until people experience it. And part of it is that you have the opportunity to experience both at the same time. So you're going to have the opportunity, many opportunities to experience the French wines, the local, the regional wines, as well as do some side-by-sides. There's going to be some great opportunities to have some comparisons to what we experience. And so while you, I appreciate, live in a place where you experience that all the time, not everyone does. So I think in fairness, for those who don't maybe live right in Sonoma, you're going to find that this combination of bringing together wines from California and the wines from France and being able to do some comparisons and really great conversations is really a lot of fun. But I certainly appreciate your point of view, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. With that, I apologize, Melanie, that we cut you off, and I want to encourage you, please, to share a little bit with us about your winery and who you are.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, everybody. I am really looking forward to this. I get to travel abroad a lot in my role, but this sounds like a whole different experience, and I'm very excited for that. I'm Melanie Schaefer. I am the general manager at Gloria Ferrer. I was brought in 2020 during that beautiful thing of COVID that we all remember, and was really given the task to figure out how to reinvent Gloria Ferrer a little bit while keeping true to its heritage. And for the last 5 years, we've been extremely focused on organics, first of all. So we are now fully certified organic. We are the largest vineyard in all of Sonoma County to be certified organic, and we are the only sparkling wine company within California to now be certified organic. So, you know, really, really proud of my team there. It's been a very long journey. And with that, you know, the quality of the wines is just, it's incredible. So we do primarily sparkling wines, but we have a still wine program as well. We grow all Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and a little bit of Pinot Blanc on our estate. For this trip, you know, of course, we have our commercial presence, but my intention is to dig some stuff out of the cellar. We have sparkling wines that go back 20 years on Entourage and such, and these are such special wines. You know, some of these I have 5, 6, 7 cases only. We go back to the early 90s in Entourage, and, you know, would love to bring some of these wines, you know, on this trip, as well as, you know, some of our Pinots and our Chardonnays. We're very fortunate to have 2 vineyards within 1.5 miles of each other, but both of those vineyards bring something completely different to the table. And it's pretty, you know, remarkable, both in Carneros there. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This will be a different way for me to explore Europe. I won't have to be in meetings for a whole week of my time. I get to spend it with you guys, talking about whatever, you know, we love and have in common. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's awesome. And Robyn, why don't you wrap it up for us?
I will. I am so excited. This whole call, if I wasn't excited enough, this has really put the cherry on top. I can't wait to host all of you in France with this stellar group of vintners, along with my husband. I'm the executive director for the Sonoma Valley Vintners and Growers, which basically represents Sonoma Valley wine in this beautiful region. And to bring our wines to France and to be on this cruise with you, I think will be so experiential to both engage with our own brands as well as have comparative tastings, and then really submerge ourselves into, you know, Burgundy and Provence, which I've never been to as well. And to celebrate this history here, which then when you compare it to that history in France, it almost doesn't hold a candle. Yet we are so proud of where we've come from and the inspiration that we've drawn from French winemaking techniques. So I have been on a wine cruise before. It forever changed me. We went with Beyonce, with my husband, and the wine maker there, Meredith. And we came on to the ship strangers and left family with the entire group. where we were forever connected by how we engaged with our own wines, with the region, and with the experiences that we had together. And so when this was brought to me as an opportunity, it was an absolute no-brainer, but to be able to share it with numerous vintners and in such an intimate experience as being on a river cruise, it was an immediate yes. So thank you all for taking the time to learn more about it, and we hope you'll join.
Thank you. And I think what's really exciting, as you said, is we get to know one another on completely different levels. So I want to say from my own perspective too, that sometimes I'll visit a winery and I'll be lucky to maybe catch a minute or two of someone's time because, you know, everyone's busy. And yet to spend a week together and have great conversations and taste this and what did you get out of that? And it brings us together differently. We go on short excursions together. We have dinner together. We sit in the lounge. We sit on the top deck and just watch the world go by. It's a great experience. And I love the way Melanie said, no meetings that week. It's just a great time to slow down. There's something about the rivers. When you think about oceans and cruises that come to Europe, rivers really go through the heart of Europe. So what we're doing is when we're experiencing these rivers through the heart, we are going through the heart of France and through the heart of these wine districts. I think you're going to be just overwhelmed like I was the first time I had a wine cruise. So in addition to all the great regional wines that we're going to experience on all of the evenings, we're also going to have some very exclusive opportunities. We're going to have a great welcome reception, get to say hello to one another. There's going to be 3 wine tasting seminars led by our Sonoma Valley wineries, and we're really excited about that. And then, of course, 2 wine paired dinners also led by your hosts. So this is going to be an opportunity for Ama to feature foods that we've talked about in advance that have been paired well with the wines that we are bringing from California, as well as other evenings where you're going to experience some of those wines that are from France. So great combination of these extra exclusive things that we have to offer. Many of you don't know us, and so I always like to make sure to take just a quick moment to remind you that Expedia Wine Club Cruises, we are located here in Petaluma, California. So we are close to Sonoma. We're actually in Sonoma County, and we are partners with all of you in the wine industry. It's very important to us to support all of the wineries and the wine growers. We are also, our team, I want to just quickly share with you, those who will be handling your phone calls, those who will be helping you. These are our experienced wine cruise consultants, and we really call them advisors because they're going to be able to help you, whether it be with your air getting there or the land or pre or post, or where do I fly to? How can I extend? I want to stay in France for a while afterwards. All of those things, we do it all. We don't just handle the cruise. We do everything that you would like us to do for you. And we're excited to do that. So you're going to have some lovely people to work with. And with that, I would love to open this up for questions because I can see there's a bunch in the chat box. I've written some of them down, but I'll try to get through all of them. And of course, with that, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can open this up, stop sharing. You know what I'll do before I do that? I recommend that for anyone who is thinking about going or wants to talk more, take your phone out and take a quick picture of this slide because it's going to have our telephone number on it and it's going to have our email address on it, right? You can see the big telephone number, 877-651-7447. That's a dedicated wine team telephone number. And then, of course, the wine club at expediacruises.com is a place where you can email us. I am going to mention really quickly before we go to the questions that there is an early booking incentive of up to $400 per person when you book by September 30th. I do want to mention there's only 2 of the solo rooms, so our solo guests, I encourage you to be pretty quick. And then for the others, while we do have until September 30th for the pricing, that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll still be available then because there's only 70 rooms. So just a little heads up. So with that, let me encourage you to, let's see, turn your cameras back on as I stop sharing here. And hello, everyone. I'm going to quickly look at some of these questions. And then if I don't answer your question, feel free to let me know and I'll try to get through it as best as I can. So, Thelma, you asked, are there any real balconies? And I think by that you mean step out balconies. And the answer is no. On this particular river, you're going to find that the ships have to be narrow. So they want to make sure to maximize the space in your stateroom. So with that, all of the balconies on this ship are the Juliet or French balconies. Let me see, I'm going to quickly run down here. What we can do for anyone who's interested, yes, there's someone's asking about the pricing of the cruise. And what I can do is we can zip out to everyone a link directly to the website that goes over the pricing. I'll be honest to tell you that when I'm presenting, I can't see those. So I can't exactly go into those details, but I'll get them to you, I promise. And then let's see. Where would we fly to? This is a great question. Of course, this particular cruise is going to start in Arles. So you're going to actually be flying into Marseille. And so there's a little bit of a distance between Marseille and Arles. We have wonderful opportunities for that. Keeping in mind that you are close to Marseille, you're also close to Aix-en-Provence. So there's some wonderful opportunities to visit the Provence area, and we can help you with that. In this particular case, the cruise ends in Dijon. Well, it actually ends in Saint-Jean-de-Losme. So for those who want to visit and explore Dijon, we can help you go up that way. It's about 45 minutes away. Others who are flying straight home will actually be flying home out of Lyon. That's the closest airport. And I have to say, much like we were talking about earlier, Bart mentioned that you can never have enough time to dine in Lyon. Staying a couple of extra days in Lyon afterwards is always my recommendation, because I can't get enough of it, that's for sure. I did cover the solo occupancy. There was a question about that. So keep in mind that yes, there are those two solo rooms, and because they are solo rooms, there's no single supplement. So for our solo travelers, that's a huge opportunity. Let's see. Someone asked, are there hair dryers? Yes, there are hair dryers. I'll also mention at the same time, one of the questions that I frequently get is about the electrical current in the rooms. There are both 110 and 220 plugs. So every room has at least one of the 110 plugs available for you, so that you can charge things. They also have little USB ports, so that makes it easy. And yes, they do have hair dryers. And someone asked, is there laundry on board? Yes, there is. There's laundry on board. No dry cleaning, but there is laundry on board. Let's see. Are there discounts for flights? That's a great question. Yes, we are excited to say that we have technically 4 different options of ways that we can help you with your air. We can work with AmaWaterways. They have some customized air for us. We have some great contracts there. We also have great contracts with unique consolidators that we work with, as well as our own Expedia contracts. So we're happy to compare and help you look. For those of you thinking of using miles, we know how to guide you to make sure that you're coming in at the right time, the right place, leaving at the right time as well. So definitely have that opportunity for you. Work down here. Question, when does the cruise begin? Do we need to stay overnight in Arles? So, of course, the cruise departs June the 4th. And so you don't actually need to stay in Arles. Most of the flights that arrive into Marseille arrive in the morning, and the ship doesn't leave until the afternoon. So if you are not planning on staying extra, you don't need to. But if you would like, I will be honest to tell you that most people will fly into Marseille and either stay in Marseille or Aix. Some do go up to Arles and stay there beforehand. Any of those are all great opportunities for you. Do French beds rooms have twin beds available? What a great question. Yes, they absolutely do. All the beds in all the rooms can be separated as 2 twins, or they can be put together as 1 queen with the topper on, so you don't feel like there are 2 beds. But they can absolutely all be separated. So if you're traveling with a friend or someone that snores too much, you can push them a little bit further away from you with no problem. How hot is it? Humid, mosquitoes? Great question. This is June, and I'm delighted to say that this is not the mosquito season. Of course, you're on a river, so there's always a slight chance. But two things happen on the river. Number one, we're early enough in the season. It doesn't start getting really humid in this part of the world until later on in July. And then the other part is that there is constant breeze, and mosquitoes don't like breeze. So when you're on the river itself, you're not going to find that there's a lot of mosquitoes. When the ship is sailing, you actually won't find them at all. But of course, if you're standing close to the riverside, riverbanks, there's always a chance of them just because it does start to get nicely warm. Let's see, questions here. Gratuities. Gratuities are not included. This is one of the things that AMA offers you to, they call it luxury by choice, just because they include quite a bit, but not everything. So gratuities would be additional. Let's see, someone's asking, can you make payments? The nice thing is the initial deposit is minimal. And then you actually can make payments as you like. It's very common for people to either make quarterly or sometimes monthly payments. But the nice thing is that the final payment won't be due until 120 days before the cruise. So there's plenty of time between now and then to organize that.
Excuse me, this is Bill. If I can jump in here while you
Hi,
answer the
Bill.
questions. Yeah, hi. About the gratuities, I'm sure
Yes.
this was mentioned when we received a briefing for our 2-week cruise. So it didn't sink into me, but I think it's important to recognize that gratuities are expected to all of the guides that take you on these excursions. I mean, the guides don't say it, but it is communicated when you're on the ship, and it probably will be again, but it is expected to give your guides gratuities, and that's all. It's all good. We didn't realize that. The other thing, which was very surprising to me, again, it didn't sink in, that very definitely, and this is made known the night before the cruise ends, that gratuities are expected in a certain range for the crew, and then also for the cruise manager. I don't mean to be getting picky in here, but and you can put it on your account on the ship. But this is a tremendous value, this cruise. But we had not been expecting the gratuity aspect. So let's not just make one statement of one sentence about that. You're going to be paying extra, the guides and the crew. And it's, I mean, the guides might take 2 or 3 euros, but the crew expects more than that as a group.
Well, thank you, Bill. I think it's always great to hear from someone who has experienced it and their perspective. The gratuities do average about 150 euros per week when you prepay them. And what I highly recommend, truthfully, is I do prepay them. So rather than trying to figure out who to give money to or putting it in an envelope and making sure everyone's covered, AMA has a wonderful system where we can actually add it to our bill before we even leave. And so I find that is much more convenient for everyone. You know what it's going to be up front and you take care of it and it's just done. The daily gratuities to your guides and potentially even your bus driver, they can be anywhere from 2 euros, sometimes €1 for the bus driver, depending on the length of the tour. I know there was one day we had a guide who was with us all day long, and she even gave us some special attention, and so maybe it increased to 5 euros. But I think that's pretty customary. And as you said, it's a great value because these people go way above and beyond. The service levels are really amazing. And I love the friendliness of this crew. We talk so much about why do we choose AMA. They're great people. AMA means love. They all show the little hearts, but AMA means love of the river, and it's quite sincere. With the founders of this company, when you get to know them, it's really all from the heart, and they select their crew very much so. So yes, there's definitely gratuities.
Yeah, and I'm glad you reminded me that it's not just to the guides, but also to the bus drivers. So
Yeah,
again,
it's a euro to the bus
and
driver.
you've got to have euros on hand as well.
And that's easy to do. They're easy to obtain both at the front desk of the ship. And of course, I think most of us travel with some euros, but you're right. Personally, I usually just put into my budget about €5 a day for tipping, just to make sure that if it's something that I want to have accounted for, that we can do that. No, love that. Very good. Let's see. Gretchen's asking, is there a specific date a deposit is due? So the deposit is due within 7 days of making your reservation. So you're going to find that when you reach out to us and say that you're interested in the cruise, we're going to ask you to complete a registration form. And then we talk to you about which cabins are available, lock in a stateroom for you, and we can hold that for 7 days before the deposit is due. There is a portion of the deposit that is non-refundable. So you're going to find that our consultants will talk to you about travel insurance, just because we want to make sure that in the event that you can't go for a covered reason, that you could get your money back through the insurance company. But there is a portion of the deposit that's non-refundable. And again, I apologize that I can't see the details while we're on the presentation, but we're happy to send them to you. And you're going to find in our registration forms, we tend to be extremely upfront about everything. It's very important to us that we try to share everything we can with you. So in the registration form, there's a clear outline of the payment schedule, as well as when cancellation terms are. Let's see. I will post the contact information. I'll bring that screen back up here in just a second. I can't see at the same time as the question, so I apologize. Gretchen asked, is there a doctor on board or healthcare close by? No to the doctor on board. They do have like an emergency team on board, but they are not in the medical field per se. And so the great thing about a river cruise is that you are never more than literally maybe 5 minutes from pulling in to any place along the river. And I've actually had this happen. We had a guest who fell on board and injured herself while I was on board. And literally before we could even get her organized and her husband organized, because we knew that she was going to need some immediate attention, the ambulance was actually alongside and the ship had pulled alongside, the gangway was out, and the crew was able to help in getting her off board, and she was at the hospital in no time. So because when you look at where we're going, these towns, we are literally, I can't describe just how close we are. We're closer than you could drive between the towns. We are on the river, just because, again, the heart of the river kind of goes right through the heart of everything. So definitely there is healthcare very easily accessible close by. Yeah, but it's a great question. I love these questions. You guys are really good. Someone saying there may be a doctor on board. Okay, well, that's a whole nother conversation. So further to Bill's question, could you please provide greater details on how many and which French wineries we'll be visiting? Is the local person on the ground who will be? So can I answer that completely? Probably not. Tom, I don't know if you might be able to help me there. It's because, so AmaWaterways, we coordinate with AmaWaterways on which wineries they can accommodate us at. So there's going to be a variety of tastings. This is specifically a wine themed itinerary, so there will be wine tastings at different places along the way. As we get closer, unfortunately, that's when we'll get more detail of exactly where we'll visit. And we will have one of our hosts, one of our Expedia Wine Club Cruises hosts on board with you. And so again, there will be lots of someone coordinating all the way through, but I'm sorry that I can't give you exactly which wineries that we'll be visiting this far out.
And then KK, something that I forgot to mention, Bart and I sat down really analyzing the area and different local contacts that we could pull on, industry contacts to have what our goal was, 2 very special wine immersive days. And that is another benefit of traveling with your, Sonoma Valley industry, is the ability to pick up the phone and have those specialized industry behind the scenes tours. And that's something that we're certainly putting together. But as KK said, that's something that's going to come together over the next couple months.
Yeah. Hey, this is Bill again. Sorry to jump in. But I did want to inquire, you somewhat addressed it, the issue of who's going to be the hosts for the French wine specifically. You know, on the 2-week trip we were on, which was absolutely fantastic, we had Paul and Tim the entire time, and this was all about the wines of the countries that we passed through, no US wines. So are we going to have French wine hosts that was for the seminars and for the dinners?
So the seminars and the dinners that we're having on board are going to be featuring our California wines. So those will be hosted by your winery partners that you've heard from today. I'm excited that you were part of our Grand Europe. I think you sailed with James Murphy, who's on the call with us today. And that was a cruise that was specifically designed to be all about regional wines. This is about a combination. So you're going to find that you will have a local guide along from the region that's going to talk about the French wine. So in many cases, we're actually going to go to the winery and we're going to have the opportunity to visit the winery and talk to them directly there. So it's a little bit different. Some of the regions that you were on throughout Germany on our Grand Europe cruise, a little bit different. So this is a completely different style of wine cruise. And yes, you will have one of our Expedia Wine Club cruises host along, your winery partners, and then we're going to have the wonderful people that we are communicating with, that we're coordinating with, is really what I meant to say, through the region. So I think, Bill, you'll be delightfully surprised.
But can you say how many wineries there will be?
Yeah, well, if you go on the website, AmaWaterways, they have the excursions kind of detailed, not exactly, but a general overview. And there are a number of wineries that will be visited, not including what Robyn mentioned. So in specific, Ama has a Chateauneuf property to visit. And then in Burgundy, there'll be a winery to visit. And then Robyn and Bart are trying to create some exclusive access to some other wineries in the region. So, but it will be dialed in, months before the cruise, and we will get that out to everybody. But this is a very wine-focused cruise and excursions. And if it's not wine, it's culinary. So it's both.
It's a great question, Craig. And I think what we can do is we can always try to communicate, certainly making sure that everyone, and as a matter of fact, I'll just quickly share for a quick second here the screen again. And then I'm going to give you a website, our website to visit. So this particular, everyone had asked for this information. So that's our telephone number, our email address. Craig, if you want to shoot an email through to wineclub@expediacruises.com and just quickly mention your question there, I think we'll try to see, we can go get you a more detailed itinerary that we can share with you so that we can kind of guess. But I think because we have so many plans to do special things and they simply can't be arranged this far in advance, we're a little limited on just how detailed exactly where we're going to go and how many times. That's hard to do in advance. So sorry about that. But yes, by all means, pop a quick email to us and you can just address it to KK. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that. Okay, so I think, let's see.
I have a question.
Yes, go for it.
If we fly into Marseille or a different airport, do you provide transportation to Arles?
It's not included, but we can help arrange it. So they don't include transfers just because we find that everyone does a little bit of everything. There are some pre and post packages with AmaWaterways that are available, as well as, again, we're happy to custom design packages for you as well as transfers. Absolutely. We make it pretty seamless.
Okay.
Let's see, I think we've more or less covered all the questions that are in the chat box. Any other questions? Feel free to kind of wave at me if you have a question that you'd like to talk about. Patty, I love the dog that's stretching behind you. That's very cute.
I think one question you didn't answer, and I just, you did and you didn't. You said all of the excursions are included. There's a question that says, are the wine tastings on land included in the cruise cost?
Thank you, Kathleen. No, I didn't see that one. So, if they are part of the excursion that AmaWaterways is doing, yes, the wine tastings are included. I think some of the special things that everyone is going to be coordinating, there may be some optional things. I don't know, because again, we're too far out to make those plans. But we are trying to do some kind of exclusive special things. So if that were the case, but everything else that I've talked about, the ones that are included on the shore excursions, those are all included. Yes. Any other questions? Not sure. I see some people talking, but I'm not sure that they're questions for
I
me.
have one more question. How many rooms are the standard room, did you say? You know, the least expensive. How many of those are there?
On the lower deck, the swan view rooms,
Yeah.
there's at least 10 of them.
Okay, and then on the upper deck with the balcony windows?
There's actually 2 decks of the French balcony. Well, deck 2 and deck 3, and both are all completely with the French balcony rooms. There's only a couple of suites in the very front. The rest of them are all the same size. It's really more about location. The nice thing, of course, about a river cruise is there's no motion, right? So you're not going to feel any sway or any motion. The only thing that I would say is if you're all the way at the aft end of the river ship, that there can be some vibration from the engines. For some people, they love that. It makes them sleep better. For other people, if they're sound sensitive, they don't like it. So again, you're going to see that the pricing, there's not a huge difference in the pricing, but of course, the more mid or forward you are, the price is a little bit more than it would be like in the aft or in the lower section.
And how many of those rooms are there on the second and third decks?
I would literally have to count them.
Did you say 144 people is the max?
So there's about 140. So there's about 70 rooms overall.
Okay.
So yeah, it's you know, you take 3 suites away, 10 for the downstairs. The rest of them are all French balcony.
Right. Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. And some of those have already been reserved. The promotion for this cruise has already started. So some of those are reserved already. Gretchen, you have a question?
Yeah, for the price quoted on the flyer, what room does that include?
That is the fixed window room on the lowest deck.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and I'll make sure too that when we're done this evening, and again, I apologize, I can't show at the same time, but when we're done this evening, we'll make sure that everyone gets an email that has a link for you that takes you directly to the full pricing of all the different staterooms and the locations. It actually has a deck plan. We have a website that is specifically designed for this. And so it'll have the deck plans, it'll have pictures of the rooms, the locations, and the pricing for you.
I have another question. How is breakfast served in the morning? From what time to what time? And then what time do we normally start our tours on shore?
Those are great questions. So breakfast is available quite early. You can start with a more continental style, but then there's a combination. So there's a buffet part, and then there's sit down as well. So you can choose to take part of it from the amazing, very European but lovely buffet. But then they also have specialty items every day, whether it be the French toast or the eggs or whatever that you can order à la minute that will be served at the table.
And all included? Is that all included?
It's all included. You can even have bubbles with breakfast, and that's included.
Okay. And then the tours generally on shore would start about 10 a.m.?
No, they start much earlier. So because what you're going to find is you're going to have most often 2 tours a day available to you. You don't have to take them, but there will be morning tours. So they will probably start at around, I think 8:30 and 9 o'clock. James, you just came back, so you probably have an idea. That's about right. and they'll come back to the ship for lunch. And then there will be an afternoon tour. So there will be wonderful options for lunch on board the ship. And then you'll have an option for afternoon tours as well, which will then come back to the ship probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, with this whole seamlessness, when you speak to the cruise manager on board, there are wonderful opportunities to say, oh, you know what, we're going to take the morning tour, but then this afternoon we're going to wander on our own, and we'll be back at the ship at such and such time. And before you get off, there's this wonderful place that you can take a picture of where the ship is docked, where the telephone number is directly for the ship if you get lost or whatever. And you could, for example, I love to even take the bicycles if they're not doing a bicycle tour for the afternoon. Sometimes I've taken my own little bicycle tour and just meandered down the side of the river. So there's great opportunities to make it very flexible and customize it to your own liking.
And do they provide the helmets for the bicycles?
They do.
They
They'll
do,
have the
okay.
little AmaWaterways logo on them.
Good.
Nancy's asking, so I'm understanding all food is included? Absolutely. So even the little specialty dining is included, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, all included. They have some entertainment in the evening. I love the regional entertainment. They actually bring local entertainers on, depending on the liveliness of the group. Sometimes everyone goes to sleep, and other times everybody's upstairs singing and enjoying a little cocktail after dinner. And I've seen some dancing, lots of fun things.
On board, but they don't give you a box lunch.
Yeah. Any other questions you can think of?
Morning comes back for lunch.
Yeah.
I just quick comment. I put a link into the chat of our website, and specifically this cruise and the flyer. And within there, you can click on. It's got the itinerary. It's got stateroom pricing. It's got the registration form if you want to move forward. It's everything you need. So if folks are very interested right now, you just go right to the chat. You'll see that link and click on it, and it'll pop up on your browser.
It's the one that shows Tom Blackwood to everyone.
Yeah, under my name.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Tom. That's great. Well, any other questions? And I want to remind you that the conversation doesn't have to stop here. Again, we have an incredible team that's ready to answer any of your questions. You have our email address. That email at Wine Club goes to our management team here. So we'll make sure to get answers for you. And we just really want to encourage you and invite you to join our friends from the Sonoma Vintners and Winegrowers Associate Alliance, as you sail on this river. And to our wine hosts, any last words before we say goodbye?
Just that I cannot wait. So excited. We'll see you guys there.
See you on the river.
Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for attending. Thank you for your time. Look forward to answering any questions that you have. See you on board.
Bye.
Thanks. Thank you.